Like, how do you see these cycles playing out with all this supply being taken off the market by all these new, bigger, well capitalized actors in the world, throughout the world?
It's not locked in stone. It's not locked in stone, right? I mean, how much do you expect? You probably know this figure better than I do, but what do you think is locked up in real fiduciaries at the moment? BlackRock, the ETFs. Let's even call the miners. Like when I say real, I mean like um, active major corporate entities in the space. It's still not going to be more than a couple million coins,
Well,
right?
luckily, we have a website that is tracking this, BitcoinTreasuries.net.
Yes,
So, including,
Rodolfo.
we'll take out DeFi, smart contracts. So it's private companies, ETFs, and other funds, governments, and public companies all together. Right now, they're at about 2.4 million.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
four actors.
So that's the question. Like I said, it's interesting to me that we're lining up this cycle. We're lining up with what the regular mainstream established legacy fiat money monetary system is doing. We're lined up, but it's an open question that it would continue. And I would say certainly based on what the power trend does as well is that the 4-year cycle, the just Bitcoin as a system growing that way is stronger. It's stronger than what any of these, jokers at
Yeah, if we
Black.
take out governments, which historically have been weaker hands, we're at like 1.7, 1.8 million Bitcoin locked up in public companies, ETFs, and private
Yeah.
companies.
So call it two. I mean, even call it two. That's 17.7. That's in long term locked up. Certainly, it can affect the price if a whale decides to move some of that. We know there are big whales, right, that have huge amounts of coins. But I think Bitcoin's 4-year cycle is going to be stronger. I do, personally. I think it's going to be stronger than this for now. Any of these narratives, I think it's going to continue to do what it does.
You
I
think
guess
it's
I just, yeah.
stronger in both directions, or do you think stronger upside, less pronounced crashes from the peak?
Let me rephrase it. When I say stronger, I mean it's possible that it could decouple again. With this, whatever the central bankers decide to do, we talk about unrealized capital gains for people and just doing things that in the regular legacy fiat world they do. They don't think about long term, low time preference type assets like Bitcoiners do. So I think it's possible that even though it looks like the money print is going up and down, kind of the way that Bitcoin is, it's not guaranteed that will continue. Let me say it that way. And if one of them is going to continue, I'd say it's the Bitcoin cycle over whatever these jokers type to, tend to do with their money printing.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be, time will tell here. At least for
well,
this halving, I think it's completely independent of whatever anybody does in any government.
that's a good part of the conversation to focus on the jokers, what they're doing. I mean, uh, we talked about treasury issuance earlier, but I think what's become more well known since the last time we talked is the auctions that are happening, the duration of the debt that's being issued. It seems like they've been heavily dependent on the front end of the curve,
Mm.
short term bills over long term bonds. And so you have the situation where that has had somewhat of an um, quantitative easing effect on the markets as well. So like stealth QE from the Treasury and not the Fed this time around. If you looked into that, there was a paper written about it a couple months ago. Funnily enough, co-written by Nouriel Roubini, but I read it. It was pretty good. But it seems like with the Fed being steadfast and holding up rates higher and for longer, the Treasury decided that they needed to step in and sort of inject some liquidity into markets with these front end loaded Treasury auctions over the last 2 years.
Yeah, I haven't read it, but I mean, I understand the concept, and that's clearly they're going to have to keep doing something to keep the interest there, and you know, it's on not envious of a Fed official's position at this point. It's just so they're in such a rock and a hard place. Um, so I don't necessarily think that we're going to find anything drastic here as far as it goes with Bitcoin over the next cycle. So it still doesn't lead me to believe that. Let me say Bitcoin in relation to the legacy system, as I talked about, right? But you know, has anyone checked in on Austria lately? Right, they have 100-year government bonds, and you know, maybe the U.S. will go that route to just start expanding. We're so good that you're just going to have to take on our debt for 100 years. Maybe they think that'll drive the interest.
Hey, you. Do you still have your Bitcoin on an exchange? Don't hold your Bitcoin on an exchange. Take it into self-custody. If you're looking for an easy way to do that, we have the BitKey. BitKey is Bitcoin made easy to use and hard to lose. Take the first step. Get your Bitcoin off the exchange. Check out the link in the show notes. That'll get you 20% off your BitKey, or use the code TFTC20 at checkout.